This conference will now be recorded.
I like to buy a vowel, and I.
Pray your holy name.
Thank you, Chaplain. Appreciate it. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Arlene, roll call, please.
Raymond. Absent. Oldham.
Here.
Dawson.
Here.
Boggess.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Cross.
Here.
Foster. Here. And Frank.
Here. Our former mayor, Steve Gallagher, is here tonight. He wants to see if he can pick up some more retirement money. Okay. So we have some special awards tonight. We have one retirement, and Derek Dodson is going to make the presentation. Mr. Paraguay, you can come forward.
Where is for Larry for 22 years, 2 months, for service to the Sedalia, city of Sedalia. I don't have a lot of stories I can share because I've only known Larry for a short period of time, actually a couple months. We've been working together. Went a little bit before that, just passing. But I think it was 8 years he worked street department, and then the rest of the time he was out taking care of the airport. So I just want to wish him well and the city for retirement. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing you around. We'll be talking in the house. So. All right.
Steve, do you have any kind words for Mr. Paraguay? See if the Steve, do you have any kind words for Mr.
Probably kind words.
No, Larry, since I've been having the last 2.5 years, you've been a good guy, a hard worker, and a good guy to work with, so that'll be my moxie.
I forgot to tell us, if anything breaks within the next 6 months or a year, blame it on me.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. So we have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 17th council meeting.
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? So we have the minutes from the planning and zoning.
Motion to approve.
Have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Chairman Andrew Dawson, Finance Administration.
First, we have a records destruction request from the Personnel Department. Personnel has identified some records that meet the retention requirements. Staff recommends approval.
Have a motion
Motion to approve.
all in favor? Opposed?
The second item on our agenda is a contract for Mitel support and licensing with Blue Alley. So this just keeps our phones up and running as well as the data.
Do we have any discussion on that, council? Arlene, want to read the ordinance, please?
Bill number 2020-151, an ordinance approving and accepting the quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri and Blue Valley for a 1-year renewal of licensing and support on the city's Mitel phone system.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 2020-151, an ordinance approving and accepting the quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri and Blue Valley for a 1-year renewal of licensing and support on the city's Mitel phone system.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Can we get a second?
Second on that?
Second.
We're a little asleep tonight, I think.
Foster? Yes. Wyman?
Yes.
Freeman is absent. Oldham?
Yes.
Dawson?
Yes.
Bogus?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Cross?
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
So Jeff Lehman is missing tonight because he's working on another project for his life. So Thomas Ullman is going to do the Public Works.
All right, we've got 7 items for consideration for the Public Works Committee. The first item is a bid agreement for 2018 water system improvements. As part of the major projects to update the water mains, staff has been working with engineers to design and bid out another major section. This area generally covers Broadway to 3rd Street from Lamine to Engineer. This also contains a bid alternate to cover along Engineer further north to Saline. The bid package was issued in such a way to allow us to divide the area and award multiple contracts. After reviewing the bid, we will award the 2 lowest bidders for separate sections of this project. We will award one contract to Blue Nile Contractors Incorporated and the other to M&M Landscaping and Construction. This will be a total of $2.9 million. Further, after authorization to add the alternate to go further north along Engineer to Blue Nile Contractors upon successful negotiation with Union Pacific Railroad to grant access to go under the railroad. The negotiations will happen within the next 60 days. This will bring the total to about $3.1 million.
Any council discussion? Arlene, would you read the ordinance, please?
Bill number 2020-152, an ordinance approving and accepting agreements by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, Blue Nile Contractors Incorporated, and M&M Landscaping and Construction LLC for 2018 water system improvements contract number 4.
Second reading.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-152, an ordinance approving and accepting agreements by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, Blue Nile Contractors Incorporated, and M&M Landscaping and Construction LLC for 2018 water system improvement contract number 4.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Wyman?
Yes.
Lehman is absent. Oldham?
Yes.
Dawson?
Yes.
August?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Cross?
Yes.
Foster? Yes. 7 yes and 1 absent.
All right, the second item is for several years, the city has contracted Alliance Water Resources to provide proper oversight and management for our sewer operations by appropriately licensed and certified individuals. The contract is due to expire at the end of the month, so we will amend the contract to provide a 6-month extension along with 2 options for a 1-year further extension. This will bring the time of the term of the agreement to coincide with our fiscal year, providing more budget.
Any council discussion? I see Verna's here. Anybody has any questions?
On somebody else that might be interested in whether or not they do this.
Any discussion? Arlene, read the ordinance, please.
Bill number 2020-153, an ordinance ratifying and approving professional services agreement amendment number 3 by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Alliance Water Resources.
Second reading.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Bill number 2020-153, an ordinance ratifying and approving professional services agreement amendment number 3 by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Alliance Water Resources.
Final passage.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Lehman is absent. Oldham?
Yes.
Dawson?
Yes.
Bogus?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Cross?
Yes.
Foster? Yes. Wyman?
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
All right, the third item is for the airport hangar project. Included in the strategic planning budget, as well as the capital improvement plan and the construction of a hangar at our airport, This addition of a conceptually 65 by 65 foot box hangar will give us much more flexibility and therefore better service to our customers. With Director Derek Dodson being a certified mechanic and the addition of this space to work from, we can offer these services to include annual inspections. Additionally, this hangar can provide space to store larger aircraft than our current hangars can handle. Furthermore, this opens up the possibility of overnight stowing services we currently cannot offer. As indicated in the budget proposals, we plan to utilize grant funds allocated to us for 90% of the cost. In order to take the next step for the project, we need to grant the design we need to get the design completed. This design will need to be coordinated with MoDOT for the approval of the use of the grant. The grant fund can pay for such design, so at this time we're submitting the grant application along with the contract and engaging engineers to the design phase. So tonight we'll have the approval of two related ordinances for the contract with H&W Lochner for the design services and for the authorization to submit the grant application grant with the terms of the grant. And we have our airport director, David Dodson, here with any questions from council.
Any council members want to ask Mr. Dodson any questions in regard to this?
No questions, but just a comment. I love the fact that it's 90% covered by the grant, and talking to earlier, Mr. Dodson, we got a waiting list of people wanting to rent these hangars, so this is a really good.
Arlene, would you read the ordinance, please?
Bill number 2020-154, an ordinance approving and accepting an aviation project consulting agreement by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and H.W. Lochner Incorporated for professional services related to the construction of a new box hangar at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Second reading.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-154, an ordinance approving and accepting an aviation project consulting agreement by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and H.W. Lochner Incorporated for professional services related to the construction of a new box hangar at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Final passage.
Second. Roll call, please.
Owen,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Wyman,
Yes.
and Lehman is absent, so it's 7 yes and 1 nay.
Continuing the discussion with our airport.
What?
As part of
another ordinance.
Oh, there's I didn't say there's two.
Arlene, would you read ordinance number 2, please?
Bill number 2020-155, an ordinance approving and accepting the federal block grant application by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the Missouri Department of Transportation Aviation Division for construction of the box hangar at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Second reading.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-155, an ordinance approving and accepting the federal block grant application by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the Missouri Department of Transportation Aviation Division for construction of a new box hangar at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Dawson,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Wyman,
Yes.
Lehman is absent, and Oldham,
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
All right, now continuing the discussion for the airport. As part of the CARES Act, grants are available through MoDOT for airports. It is our understanding that Sedalia is eligible for a $30,000 grant to provide improvements or to offset COVID-19 pandemic costs. Since we are working on the box hangar, it has been recommended to us to use this as part of our matching fund requirement for this improvement project.
Any council discussion? Arlene, would you read the ordinance, please?
Bill number 2020-156, an ordinance approving and accepting the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act agreement by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the Missouri Highways and Transportation
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 2020-156, an ordinance approving and accepting a coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security act agreement by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for financial assistance to maintain safe and efficient airport operations.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
August,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Ross, Foster, Lyman,
Yes.
Lehman, Jackson, Oldham,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The next item is a 1-year renewal of our software program for our water pollution system. Our sewer department utilizes a camera system that is capable of running through sewer lines to troubleshoot and inspect for potential problems. Service agreement for the software that controls the system is up for renewal.
Any council discussion? Arlene, read the orders, please.
Bill number 2020-157, an ordinance approving and accepting the 1-year contract extension by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and DOSM software for software used in the operating of the closed circuit television system in the water pollution control department van.
Second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 2020-157, an ordinance approving and accepting a 1-year contract extension by and between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and DOSM software for software used in the operating of the closed circuit television system in the water pollution control department van.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Richardson,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster, Lyman,
Yes.
Lehman is absent, Oldham,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
August,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The sixth item is in regards to our Railspur project. And in connection with our Railspur project, we need to have electrical lines that will pass over the Railspur raised to where there will be no less than 27 feet above the top of the rail. We had thought this was going to be handled by Evergy during construction of the electrical service to Nucor. However, this was not done at that time. And if I read correctly, Mr. Shaw, they were raised to the level of the substation, not to what we need for the Railspur project. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. The cost now is $24,071.66 for this work conducted by Evergy. However, these costs are recoverable from the grant funds for this project and are within the current budget amount for this project.
Any council discussion? Arlene, would you read the orders, please?
Bill number 2020-158, an ordinance approving and accepting a quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Evergy for raising the height of a 3-phase line that crosses the Sedalia Rail Industrial Park Railspur project along Saline Street.
Second reading.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 2020-158, an ordinance approving and accepting quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Evergy for raising the height of the 3-phase line that crosses the Sedalia Rail Industrial Park Railspur project along Saline Street.
Final passage.
Second. Roll call, please.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster, Lyman,
Yes.
Lehman is absent, Oldham,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
August,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The final item for public works is for our UTV vehicle for the regional airport again. The airport included in the strategic plan and the budgeting process for a UTV. This piece of equipment has a variety of general purposes used, including snow removal around the terminal and hangars, where larger snow plows are more cumbersome and less efficient. In addition, as a primary purpose, we will equip the unit with a tow bar to provide services for moving aircraft. Likewise, it will be utilized to transfer personnel and materials for the day-to-day maintenance duties on the vast grounds of the airport. Director Dodson has researched and found equipment that is best suited for these uses. Therefore, the equipment he sought out and is equipped with a diesel engine and a low gear ratio hydrostatic transmission. He then was able to find a local dealer participating in the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program to source the equipment with these specifications. This is just above the budgeted amount of $20,000 at $20,203 for this item, but still well within the equipment budgeted line. We are confident we will not go over the total for this line. Good job on that, Mr. President.
Any council discussion? Arlene, would you read the ordinance, please?
Bill number 2020-159, an ordinance approving and accepting the quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Crown Power and Equipment Company, LLC, for the purchase of a UTV vehicle for the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Second reading.
All in favor? Opposed?
Ordinance number, bill number 2020-159, an ordinance approving and accepting the quote signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and Crown Power and Equipment Company, LLC, for the purchase of a UTV vehicle for the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Final passage.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Foster. Yes. Lyman.
Yes.
Newman. Baskin. Oldham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Vargas.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cross.
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
Mr. Dodson, I think this is the most activity we've ever had for the airport. And we'll probably see you at budget time. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Chairman Thomas Oldham, Public Safety.
Public safety. We have only 2 items for the Public Safety Committee tonight. One is in regards to our fire academy with the budget amendment. The fire academy has used old equipment for the fire services, including self-contained breathing apparatus equipment for the training. This equipment has defined a definite end of life where it is no longer has reached its definite end of life where it's no longer certified for use. After the Academy, a vendor loaned us some models that had a year left on the certification for use. We matched this up with the packs that we obtained from Homeland Security years ago that are not certified for actual fire service due to the materials that they are used from. These work well for many parts of the training, but cannot be used for actual live burn training. For the live burn training part of the training, we use backup packs from our operations. This year, the class size is higher than we have had at 15. Therefore, we have more students and less equipment available, which I think that kind of sounds like a good problem to have. These funds is operated as a special revenue fund on its own, so that we isolate the expenditures to ensure that all these expenses are paid for by the tuition collected. So over the last few years, we have accumulated reserves in the amount of about $8,047. And in addition to utilizing some of these reserves, we can also move some funds around in the budget to allow the purchasing of 8 new SCBA self-contained breathing apparatus models to get us to the year without running the operations too short.
Any questions?
Chief Earl's here too. Do you have any questions or comments?
Any discussion among council? Arlene, you want to read the resolution, please?
Okay, the first one is resolution number 1910, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, authorizing the increase in expenditures in the budget for the fiscal year 2021 related to the purchase of SCBA models for the Firefighter Academy.
Second.
All in favor? The ordinance, any discussion about the ordinance, council?
Bill number 2020-160, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2021 regarding the proposed revised budget for the Firefighter Academy.
Second reading.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-160, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2021 regarding the proposed revised budget for the Firefighter Academy.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Lyman.
Yes.
Lehman is absent. Oldham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Saugus.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Ross. Foster. Yes. 7 yes, 1 absent.
Just for clarification on the resolution, was that a motion to approve? Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Okay.
You call for the second one.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
you got that, Arlene?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
So we have roll call now?
No, it was just,
All right, we have the last item here for public safety, and it is a joint dispatch agreement. The description is a little lengthy, but I think this is a milestone and a big accomplishment for the citizens of the county. In April of 2019, Pettis County put a referendum in front of the voters for the approval of a $1 per month any device fee for 911 dispatch services. This issue passed until the tax went into effect in October, and the county started receiving these funds in January of 2020. Part of the stipulation to be eligible for this tax is to combine dispatching services into one joint dispatch operation for the county. The city has been supportive of these efforts, as we see this right to do this thing to do for the citizen for the citizen. Combining our efforts is generally more efficient and effective use for the total taxpayer dollars. Likewise, combined, we can offer a better service and save precious time in responding. Mostly, though, we recognize that the equipment we are currently using is so old we are finding it ever more increasingly difficult to get parts and service to keep it running. Some of this equipment runs on Windows 98 platform that has not been supported for several years, and you cannot buy the software or new equipment that will run on this version anymore. Therefore, as we have issues we have to find service technicians that remembers how to work on this old stuff, and then we are going to salvage in museums to give repair parts. In summary, at some point, we know that if we stay on this old path, the system would eventually break, and we would not be able to fix it. The passage of this fee will provide the necessary funding for the long overdue procurement of upgraded new technologically advanced equipment. Since the passage of this ballot initiative, staff has been working with the county, PCAD, and the other stakeholders to put together an agreement to facilitate this joint dispatch center. The major provisions of the three-party agreement between Pettis County, PCAD, and the city are as follows. That any device fee, as a county fee, will go to the county and be segregated and operated as a special revenue fund of the county. There will be establishment of a board of 5 individuals by virtue of their positions: the sheriff, city police chief, city fire chief, PCAD chief, and one other person appointed by the county commission. The board will hire a director and manage the operation. The county commission shall have veto powers over the selection of the director. Beyond the any device fee, the cost of the operation will be initially divided into in a ratio based on the current call volumes up to set on the amounts. After these amounts are exceeded, any further costs will be divided equally. The director and board are responsible for working with each agency to reach an agreement on the budget, funding needs, and securing the necessary appropriations. Mr. Shaw, that was a description really written by you, and I appreciate that. Is there anything that you need to add to that?
yeah, I would just add that James Tyson, the 911 director for the county, is here. He was very instrumental in pulling all of this together, as well as the 911 device fee. Chief Ward is here, and Chief Harrell both are here, and they both are, first of all, serving on that board, and were, again, very instrumental. And then, of course, Ann helped with pulling the documents together. But I would just open it up to those individuals if they wanted to add anything, or if council wanted to have any questions or anything that.
Mr. Tyson, you're going to be representing the Pettis County on that.
Yes, the member at large. Yes. So we have 3 of the 5 board members here tonight, actually. So.
Any council discussion? This has been obviously an ongoing process. So we originally started out with a group studying it we had several meetings. Megan Page was our representative, and they did a good job with Mr. Tyson and got together with this process of going to having us vote. And then the last few months, Kelvin has been working with the county, with Mr. Tyson and Mr. Sawyer about pulling this thing together. I think we've come a long way. I think it's a very good ordinance. I think we can make it work. It's desperately needed. Any council discussion other than that?
Just, when do you think this should be up and running? Ballpark.
It was originally designed, I'll let
Yeah. Come on up to the mic, Mr. Tyson. Introduce yourself.
It was originally designed for October the 1st to up and going, but with the COVID, it was hard to get vendors here to even get the presentations, much less being able to order stuff. We've been fortunate to get a couple of grants to help offset the cost. But January 1 is our, that's what I've really pushing for, the first of January, and then that makes it a clean break as far as the other two parties, that's their fiscal year is January.
Everybody's, I'm sure, is aware that dispatch headquarters is going to be in the basement of the municipal building, and it's ready to go. I don't know if all the equipment is ready yet.
No, that's what he was just talking about.
I mean, it's and then, I think we're probably, our staff is going to probably transfer and be employees of that commission. And then we'll obviously have other employees. We have up to how many?
Well, 18 dispatchers. We finalized the call for a new 911 director. Really looking forward to that. The current 911 director. So, but yes, it'll be out on in the paper by tomorrow. So it'll be national legal standards for anybody in that position.
I had just a comment. In one of the earlier drafts that the city had and the county exchanged on the basement lease agreement, we had a 180-day termination clause in there. And I noticed that you, on behalf of the county, wanted to have 365. Could you, maybe for their benefit, explain?
Sure. The amount of time it would take to move the dispatch center to another location across the street, literally, you're looking at 10 months if everything goes well. And an out clause of 6 months would, no matter who wanted out, would have been a huge burden on whoever was still trying to begin the contract. So 365, that gives us the ability to find a suitable location and start moving. You're talking about trunk lines, all the equipment in the basement. So it'd be a huge undertaking, and one I do not believe.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
Yeah, I guess I would comment on this as well, on that as well, is that really from my perspective, we don't want to try to unwind this agreement. Once we enter into it, I think we need to look at this as a permanent solution, even though the contracts, rightfully so, have out clauses and all of that. But I agree with Mr. Tyson. Getting out of this agreement is going to be difficult for all of the parties, including us, to try to go back to housing our own dispatch or any of those kinds of, any of the other options will be very difficult and very time consuming. So just from a thinking standpoint or a perspective standpoint, I think from my recommendation, you all need to think of this as a long-term agreement and a long-term solution. So, because I fully agree it's going to be hard to get out of it. It's hard to unwind.
And I feel we have quality representation on this commission, and their goal obviously is to make this thing work. They realize that our current system puts them in jeopardy. Excuse me. Okay. I know that they'll make us come together and work out. We obviously have some potential financial liability hanging over us, but we'll work that out. So, read the ordinance, Arlene?
Bill number 2020-161, an ordinance approving and accepting a joint communications agreement signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, County of Pettis, Missouri, and Pettis County Ambulance District for a joint communications center.
Second reading.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-161, an ordinance approving and accepting a joint communications agreement signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, County of Pettis, Missouri, and Pettis County Ambulance District for a joint communications center.
Final passage.
Have a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Lehman, Saxon, Oldham,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Wyman,
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
Thank you, Thomas. Enter.
There's the other ordinance.
Oh, excuse me, there is another one. I'm sorry. I'm jumping again. Read the ordinance, please, Thomas.
I did.
Okay. Bill number 2020-162, an ordinance approving and accepting an intergovernmental lease agreement signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the county of Pettis, Missouri, for the leasing of certain areas of the municipal building basement for purposes of establishing a central dispatch.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-162, an ordinance approving and accepting an intergovernmental lease agreement signed between the city of Sedalia, Missouri, and the county of Pettis, Missouri, for the leasing of certain areas of the municipal building basement for purposes of establishing a central dispatch.
Roll call, please.
Oldham,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Wyman,
Yes.
and Lehman is absent, so it's 7 yes and 1 absent.
That completes public safety.
Again, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Andrew Dawson, Community Development.
First item on our agenda for community development is the sign height in relation to the sign height on highways. So what this ordinance does is it amends sections of Chapter 64 of our code of ordinances to increase the maximum height for signs in certain areas to 65 feet. Planning and zoning recommends approval, and so does staff.
Any council discussion? Arlene, read the ordinance, please.
Bill number 2020-163, an ordinance amending section 64-45, 64-208, 64-211, and 64-332 of Chapter 64 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, relating to signs.
Second reading. Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-163, an ordinance amending section 64-45, 64-208, 64-211, and 64-332 of Chapter 64 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, relating to signs.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dawson,
Yes.
Vargas, yes. Richardson,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Wyman,
Yes.
Lehman is absent, Nolan,
Yes.
7 yes and 1 absent.
The second item we have on our agenda is for a rezoning application for the properties located at 1602 South Harrison, 1606 South Harrison, and 1618 South Harrison. Planning and zoning is recommending a denial. Community Development Director Simmons, could you take us through the finer points of this?
Good evening. Just want to go through a brief narrative of the progress of this case.
Back in 2016, Mr. Klein requested a rezoning for the saw shop. So in April 2016, there was the initial rezoning application. And this was a result of some land uses that were in violation of the zoning code. And it was recommended we rezone at that time to take care of those issues. In June of 2016, planning and zoning approved on a vote of 7 yes, 0 no, that the rezoning be approved. Following that, in June of 2016, council tabled the issue until July 5th because there were some violations that needed to be fixed. So the incentive was to allow the rezoning if certain property violations were met. So in July of 2016, they tabled again until the August 1st council meeting, so staff could meet with Mr. Klein and create an acceptable plan to fix the violations. In July 13th of 2016, we met with Mr. Klein and gave him a memo dated 7/18 of 2016 outlining the requirements. In August, council voted to approve the rezoning with a plan to fix the violations. In April of 2017, council was updated on the rezoning request, and Mr. Klein was out of compliance with the plan drafted in July of 2016. After discussion, council agreed to give Mr. Klein 30 days to bring the fence to the required height and fill in the gaps. In May of 2017, council was again updated on the progress. A portion of the fence height had been raised, however, the back and west side has not been completed. Motions to prepare an ordinance for May of 2017 special council meeting to repeal the zoning. So May 22nd, council was updated again on progress and was still not complete. And the motion was denied the rezoning. All were in favor except for one council member. Fast forward to fall of 2019, Mr. Klein has been cited and summoned to municipal court for ongoing violations of the property. So through that process, it was recommended that he again seek the rezoning of the property. And in January of 2020, planning and zoning took up the request. Staff reviewed it. Let me run through this real quick. I should mention that here. Well, the recommendation was made in May of 2016 to approve the rezoning. Council repealed that rezoning in 2017. Due to non-compliance. And the applicant had increased its fence height to 6 feet. Went forward and planning and zoning. Sorry, I lost my timeline. So we met with Mr. Klein in February of 2020 to assess the property and the deficiencies to be corrected. There were 4 deficiencies. One was the main building at 1602. He needed to finish installing weatherproof covering compliant with building codes on the south side of the building, and all fascia boards painted or covered with flashing. Regarding the church building at 1606 South Harrison, he needed to make that exterior weatherproof by either repairing stone veneer or installing other weatherproof covering compliant with building codes. He also needed to make sure that all openings to the building are compliant with code. I drove by the property today. The main building is in compliance. The back wall has been resided. The fascia boards have been painted on the east and west. Mr. Klein suffered a property loss due to a storm earlier in the summer with a new roof on the building. So the back of the building, we feel that the main building is compliant now. The fence is compliant. The church building remains unfinished, and therefore we recommended to planning and zoning to deny the request. I think it's best that we go ahead and close this chapter of this property and go forward knowing that the church building is not compliant, but we need to go ahead and finish up the zoning issue. We offered the zoning essentially as an incentive to repair the other property violations on the property. That has not been met. It's 4 years later, and we're still having this discussion. I also understand that the property that Judge Beard ruled that the property was grandfathered for the type of commercial use that Mr. Klein saw in the rezoning.
That's correct. We tried the case in February of 2020, around the same time that this application was moving forward. And Judge Beard felt that the property, we had two zoning issues, the setting the violation or zoning by having things outside or I think some junk and everything. And he said he was grandfathered in for that. So that was his decision.
So under the zoning C3, they're not allowed to have salvaging parts on the outside of the building. It can be within a fenced area. So that was the call for the fence in the original case. So what we would do as community development is if you do deny that request, then we just go forward with citing the violations on the church building and working with Mr. Klein on a timeline to repair those deficiencies. It sounds like the zoning issue's been resolved.
Any council discussion? Elaine, read the ordinance.
Bill number 2020-164, an ordinance granting a rezoning application by Lawrence J. Klein Saw Shop for properties located at 1602 South Harrison Avenue, 1606 South Harrison Avenue, and 1618 South Harrison Avenue, City of Sedalia, Missouri.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Bill number 2020-164, an ordinance granting a rezoning application for Lawrence J. Klein Saw Shop for properties located at 1602 South Harrison Avenue, 1606 South Harrison Avenue, and 1618 South Harrison Avenue, in the City of Sedalia, Missouri.
Final passage.
Arlene, roll call, please.
Bobbins?
No.
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 Richardson?
No.
Cross?
Yes.
Foster?
No.
Wyman?
No.
Lehman, Saxon? Oldham?
No.
And Johnson?
No.
So we have 1 yes, 6 no, and 1 absent.
Thank you. We have one appointment, Arlene.
Two members of the City Council for Mayor John Cady. It's a new appointment to the Housing Authority Board of Directors, Joshua Howell, 300 West Third Street, 4-year term expiring June 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Liquor licenses, Arlene, please.
We have 5 liquor licenses this evening. They are all submitted by Ruth Ann Hartley, doing business as Dollar General. They are all packaged liquor licenses, and they're for the following locations: 4215 East Broadway, 2003 South Limits, 2500 West Broadway, 713 East Broadway, and 619 North Ohio.
Motion to approve in block.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody from the city council, city administrator would like to make any favorable comments about what's happening in the city today or not happening?
I guess I would say in light of Labor Day, the Labor Day holiday, we sure appreciate all of our staff and hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend and in the spirit of the holiday or the reason for the holiday is we appreciate all of our staff.
And I say that we've been working with the Furnells on Christmas, Thanksgiving evening, and the Christmas parade. We're getting in this Christmas spirit. Everything's going to be positive. Feel good about it. We're going to go on. Anybody from the audience like to make a comment tonight? We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to turn to closed door session.
All in favor? Opposed? Everybody's.
You want me to keep Randy and say that he can release his story now?
Which one? For what? I guess
At the council meeting yesterday.
That's funny.
The reason I voted yes is, I thought I was voting yes